Hello everybody and welcome to the fourth round of the Trophi.Ai Radical SR8 Championship here from Okayama. It is the last round before the first of our Enduros. Make sure you tune in same time, same place next week for the Monza Historic round, which is going to be an absolute barn burner, but this one should be as well. It is the short Okayama circuit in relatively murky and dark conditions actually in this qualifying session at least. And here to take you through the day, it's myself, Ewan and Dean Biggles with me for the first time this season. It's good to be here, Biggles, for this round at Okayama. Quite dark, as you were saying before we went to air, but a couple of races for us here tonight to very much look forward to at this circuit, which everybody on iRacing has a lot of experience with.
Welcome, thank you. Bjorn out there as well too, say what's taking time. Well, we got the qualifying covered at the moment. We're about 5 minutes left into this qualifying session of total 10 minutes, of course. Then we get to our heat 1 and then our heat 2 with a reverse grid as well. But before we get too much into the details and catch some of these guys on their flying laps, we'll quickly show everybody the championship standings at the moment, my friend.
Absolutely. If you think these look a bit strange, by the way, it's partly because 2 drop weeks have been applied and we've only had 3 rounds. So the best round so far has scored by John McCutcheon. That's given him quite a big lead actually over Paul LeMay. Ewan Bramer is next, and then it's a tie-up for 4th place between Daniel Handover, James Bird and Luke Maxwell. Just outside the top 5 is Josh Reed, then it's Mikey Pollard, another point back, tied with Paul Crabb. Michael LeMay rounds out the top 10. Tied 11th is Damien G and Mike Bousson. Scott Kostrich is 13th ahead of Declan Marsden and Menno de Graaf, who are tied 14th place. Then it's David Roston, a further point back. Stefan Mellis is next ahead of Graham Matthew, who is 18th, and then there's a whole load other drivers further down in the field. As I mentioned, everyone who has been at a race so far was technically still in touch, including Peter Zoldos, Jordan Crawford, Maurice Weaver, Patrick Seaborn, Ben Gregory, Chris Guy, all with points so far. The rest of them haven't, and they will be out of the running for the championship pretty much immediately because there are only 2 drop weeks in the first few rounds of this championship. We don't get them right towards the very end. If you're wondering, and you worked with us last week, by the way, we've got pros and AMs now in this series. Pros are in the orange, AMs are in the light blue. And as you can see right now, it's Paul LeMay who is on the pole, 122.4, although there is still quite some time remaining. And there are 11 drivers within a second of pole at the moment, including LeMay himself, who's got that best time. Shows you that this is a short circuit and one that everybody's very comfortable with, because that's not a very big gap in terms of the times from 1st down to 11th.
Not bad at all, absolutely. Of course, with those headlights will come onto those cars. I was asking that in the green room actually, if these Radical cars do have headlights, and I believe they do, but they're not switched on currently at the moment. So please let us know if all the levels are okay. I'm trying to boost the car sound a little bit, but that LeMay goes even quicker at the moment too, mate. The 22.2 club looking pretty impressive in the dying stages of qualifying now.
Yeah, it is odd that none of them got their headlights on at the moment, but clearly it's not that bad from where they're sat for seeing where you're going. Declan Marsden, meanwhile, gets right up the field there with the 4th place in the qualifying session. In fact, we're seeing a lot of faster times come through. Mikey Pollard up into 5th place. Michael LeMay goes up to 8th in that lap as well. Menno de Graaf has just gone over the line. He's now into the top 10 as well. Some good improvements happening here. I think there are a couple of minutes only left in qualifying right now. I'm not sure, but we have not got very long left. And I'm glad to say, by the way, we've got a couple of extra names in the field as well. Axelson in 11th place and Pullman in 18th place for the moment. A couple of new names on the grid here for this 4th round of the championship. We're very much in the mid stages of the season now, actually. Already here in the Trophi.Ai Radical SR8 Championship. There's the clock. It's just under 2 minutes from the end of the day. Here is Mikey Pollard into the final few corners. Traffic to contend with, because it is a short circuit. You're generally going to encounter more traffic over the course of your laps. You've got to find that bit of clear space over the course of 10 minutes, because it's an open session where everybody's out there at once.
Just wondering our tradition as well too, if we got a quick minute to find somebody, if you'd like to go on board with and give us a hot lap guide around here.
Someone who's near the start of a lap. As long as Pollard continues on with this one, we might as well carry on with him. To be honest, he's just making his way through turn 1 at the moment and pulling it to the right immediately for opening out turn 2 as well. Sometimes you go right there and do the short layout, but we're taking the long layout here because it isn't very long. Through the S's, it's really not an event at all, really, before you're braking for turn 4, backward curve, which is slightly uphill as you try to get on the power. Lots of modulation required up there as you get onto the long back straight, which should give good opportunities down in towards turn 5, which is literally called hairpin. A little bit downhill, good opportunities on the brakes here, good overtaking chances. Car going off in front, don't get distracted by that as you modulate the throttle again up the other side of the hill. Now a couple of very similar corners, to be honest, at turn 6 and turn 7. The first one a bit more open than the second, where you're just having to point and squirt really on the way towards turn 8. Redmond keeping it as close to the inside as possible and swinging it to the left so that you can open out this hairpin as well. Late-ish apex and getting on the power now in towards the final couple of corners. This is turn number 10 and Mike Knight corner. And now the final turn, which is literally called last corner as well, trying to keep it tight. And indeed, we run out of time.
Wow.
The checkered flag waved just before Mikey Pollard could finish his lap. But there you go. He is going to be 6th as we get ready for this opening race of the day. Let's have a look at the starting grid, ready for heat number 1 of this event. It's 15 minutes in length based on the qualifying positions that we just saw gained there by everybody. It is Paul LeMay who's going to start from the pole, ahead of Jamie Bird, who was lagging behind early in the session, got up to second in the end at a Paul Crabb, and then Luke Maxwell. Mike Bousson and Mikey Pollard are on row 3, ahead of Declan Marsden, who won the pole in the AMS, even Bramer alongside him. Denver Austin and Michael LeMay round out the top 10, with Josh Reed and Ludwig Axelsen, one of our 2 new drivers, on row 6. A little bit further down in the field, we'll wait for it to scroll down. 13th place for Menno de Graaf alongside Damien G. Scott Kostrich and Stefan Mellis are on row 8 ahead of Gert-Jan Polman and Peter Zanolos, the final drivers to set times. Maurice Reaver didn't, and hopefully he does get back into the session and races, but he said he was really struggling in qualifying with even keeping this car on the circuit, and he was fearing crashing into somebody. Very gracious of him to retire from the session immediately, to be honest, but he's obviously more than welcome to race, but doesn't look like he's going to here today, unfortunately, at Okayama, which is a bit of a shame. One more notable absentee, by the way, I should probably talk about before we get underway, is championship leader John McCutcheon, who is playing the famous sport of bowls this evening, up in Scotland. So we'll
bowls? Like lawn
yes.
bowls?
Do you know what bowls is?
Lawn bowl? Yeah. All right. That's interesting, as everybody's lining up at the moment. Yeah, well, there we go, my friend. Heat 1, 15 minutes.
Here we go. Lights come on, 15 minutes of racing, and Paul LeMay is going to look to get off to the perfect start, and he has, from the front row. Not particularly from Jamie Bird, the perfect start, to be honest. Certainly not from Crabb either, who's immediately been overtaken by Maxwell in towards turn number 1 of this race. Maxwell up to 3rd place, Crabb down to 4th, then it's Bousson, then Declan Marsden, who's in 6th place, by the way, side by side through turn 2. All the clean start, though, bit of a wiggle from Marsden, who could be off and into the wall down there if he's not careful, and he might well have been. Oh, it's a big crash! Huge crash on the S's on the way down towards turn 4. It all started with Marsden, and unfortunately Michael LeMay, who was 2nd in the AM class, has been caught up in it as well, and he's lost his rear wing.
That's a little bit of excitement already so far as they are bat out of the gate there. You can see the position gainers and losers at the moment, and Scotty at the moment under a bit of attack here from De Graaf here from the Velcro Racing team. Oh, there's your bit of door banging. Argy bargy, we love it. It's motor racing, if gap car.
Oh, and a bit more, and off the road for Menno de Graaf. That was a pretty physical battle with Scott Kostrich. They're both passed by Axelsen, by the way, who's now on the defensive, on the way towards the hairpins. Down the inside from Kostrich in towards turn 8. And he has, well, just about got it done. Almost squeezing it free wide there was Menno de Graaf, trying to get back at them all over again. Meanwhile, still side by side through the corners, the final couple of corners. It's Reed getting involved, not de Graaf. He's next in line in the white, just in behind Axelsen here. And that is Josh Reed going through. That's a pretty good bit of overtaking from him, getting ahead of Kostrich and Axelsen. Down in towards turn 1. Ludwig Axelsen's going to have another go in towards turn 1 here. On Kostrich, looking for a top 10 place. And it looks like he has got it through turn number 1. That's a good pass from him. Side by side again between Kostrich and de Graaf. And they sorted out through turn 2. Up ahead, David Royston, the leader in the AMS, was extending his lead until that spin. Now he's being caught by these guys who are fighting for 2nd place in the class.
Yeah, you can see him currently at the moment, and not too much action front, believe it or not. This is where it all happened because of Michael LeMay going off there. Josh Reed a little bit earlier as you'd see here, he's head down there into pit road at the moment as well too. But Paul LeMay does lead this race currently at the moment from Jamie Bird, but we'll keep our eyes peeled here because Damon Glee's looking to get one up the inside there on the Bounty Hunter X Racing team.
He goes through into 14th. And there's concertina effect and there's fun. Zoldos and G go around. Or is it G and Mellis, excuse me. It is G and Stefan Mellis, Demi G and Stefan Mellis, who have gone around in the concertina effect. Zoldos was the one who got into the back of G, but it looked like an almighty stack up there. Let's see it from the air, see if we can get a better idea of where this actually started from, because this was weird from what we were looking at. Oh, it's a bit of a slide up in front from De Graaf. Then he's, and then Mellis hits him. Then G hits him, and Zoldos hits him. It's a real train of concertina, I'm afraid, and a couple of cars went around there.
It didn't look like he even applied the brake. We're too hot into that corner. I'm going to go back up the front at the moment because it looks like Luke Maxwell putting massive pressure there on Jamie Bird. Thinks about setting up the inside there. Doesn't want to go too far off the racing line. Has to brake at the moment. And all this is helping Paul LeMay now, who's almost got a second up the road there, and there's a lap car already, as you can see. Actually, is that their race leader, Paul LeMay, going off the track then? Yes, it was. My apologies. That's a weird exit to the racing line there.
It was a bit weird, actually, running down the straight. I think he's trying extra hard to break the slipstream, but he won't be giving off much slipstream anyway at 9/10 of a second to Jamie Bird. So I don't really know what he was trying to do. Maxwell currently sat in third place then, trying to make this move. Crab and Boosen are not far behind either. And you've got Ivan Bremer next in line, and then Pollard in the top 7. These are all the pro drivers, all very close together. By the way, in case we've not reiterated, in case you've not seen a race this season so far, race 2 is 25 minutes, a little bit longer, and also it is a top 10 reversal. So make sure we're on top of that. We will check out the battles towards the back end of the top 10, towards the end of the race, because they will be pretty fierce. This is Boosen in towards turn 1, pretty close to Maxwell, Crab that time round. Didn't decide to go for a dive at turn 1 that time though.
Not just yet. You can see this top snake of effect, actually. These drivers, will give you a little bit of an indication of the track map. You can see all those dots in orange, obviously that's pro class, and then you see all the dots for the AM. So the only person at the moment that's a little bit out of his class at the moment is Josh Reed, as he's in the middle of the AM snake. But here we go. Challenge.
Challenge from Boosen. He was briefly getting the slipstream, but Crab's now going to get it as the front guys just weave away. Here comes Crab, just squeezing Boosen a bit. He's going down the inside, and Mike Boosen's got 4th place. Good overtake, wasn't intimidated there by Crab, squeezing him, and he wasn't intimidated even by the dive at the very next corner from Crab either. That was good driving by the both of them, and Mike Boosen's up to 4th place.
Good job. That's how you get the overtakes done here, and next up on his hit list is Luke Maxwell, who's on the back there of Jamie Bird. Paul LeMay still leading this one. Well, we have a little bit of a break, which I think we might at the moment. We'll go back and have a look at what happened to Michael LeMay at the start of the race.
This is on his way back to the pit lane because he's got no rear wing. He's since been in the pit lane, and that'll be why he's got no rear downforce. He's spinning around. I wonder if you've got the incident, by the way, of the very start. But yeah, this one here. You've read my mind. This is Declan Marston going off the road, and I thought he was going to gather it up, but he didn't. He spun. That's LeMay who weaves to the right, by the way, to avoid. That's how he gets into the wall, and somehow it's only the 2 of them who actually get damage.
Yeah, another angle coming. Where'd he go? Whoa, he's just snapped. That was an awesome snake-like reactions to avoid that, but of course there's no traction in the rear end of the car, and goes into the kitty litter and into the fence. Back to the action, of course. Luke Maxwell on the back there of Jamie Bird.
This is for 2nd place. We're approaching rapidly half distance here. Races are a bit shorter this season. And that is a mistake from Bird, who's been put under big pressure, and that was Maxwell standing on the brakes effectively through the middle of the corner to avoid running over Jamie Bird. Mike Boosen is next in line, followed by Paul Crab, who is in the 5th position. It is the final sector coming up next. You'd think, given the slow and tight corners, it's a good overtaking chance, but you don't often, not always anyway, see moves through here. They come out the other side through the faster final 2 corners, and they'll cross the line again at the end of lap 5. It looks like it's going to be a 10 or 11 lap race here, by the way, and so we are approaching about halfway on that metric as well. There are the conditions on the right hand side. 26 degrees on the circuit, not the coolest, but not the warmest either. Shouldn't be a big concern, but conditions I don't think ever are a big concern in a 15 or indeed 25-minute race.
No, absolutely not. Just lighting conditions about the only thing that might be a bit of a concern. But you can see inside the car that you can see everything quite clearly. It's just more the external views, but the drivers won't be driving in a helicopter camera at all. They'll be driving in a cockpit camera. Go back further up to that one. Mike and Luke Maxwell still at it tooth and nail here.
Oh. That. And Crab switches to the other side to try and take them both here. They were almost 3 wide at one moment, and Crab's going down the inside for 3rd place here. Boosson hanging on well for now, but Maxwell displaced completely. Oh dear, Luke Maxwell is going to be disappointed with that. He was running in the top 3 for most of the first part of the race, but Crab and Boosson have now overtaken him, and he's got some work to do.
Here comes Pollard in the background, just thinking about this. He's on the end of this chain, as you can see currently at the moment in your pictures, and any mistake right now, oh, bit of an oversteer moment, has to back off the loud pedal just to make sure he doesn't turn that 73 all the way around. He's struggling a little bit at the moment to keep it onto the rest of the pace of these gladiators.
It's a second gap that's opened out now as a result of the final sector. To Ewan Bramer, who's on the back end of the group. There is Marsden coming out the pit lane and just coming to a stop to try and not get in anybody's way, and fair play to him for doing that. It is a pretty busy circuit out of this part anyway. He is going to drop down as a result of that, as the leaders, that is, goes through the S's now towards turn 4. Still 1 second between LeMay and Bird, but not sure that's going to transpire into a battle in the final 6 minutes, to be honest. It's much more likely to be this one here for 3rd place. Crab, the one who's looking over his shoulder right now. Boosson next in line, then Maxwell. And nothing doing that time round. For the first time in a while, no side-by-side through the hairpin for these guys fighting for 3rd place.
Absolutely good battling at the moment there, so that's what you like to see, as Jamie Bird's got a bit of breathing space from Paul LeMay, who's in the lead of this. You can see them up the road there by a chunk of change, actually, but this is where the battle is for the final podium position. They're foaming at the mouth for a bit of the bubbly stuff if they can get the Heat 1 podium. A Paul Crab for the C64 Jaguar entry there, trying to hold off there Mike and Luke Maxwell.
Onto the front straight again. It's Maxwell again who's closest, but not with the great exit out the final corner. Across the line. It's still pretty dark, by the way, isn't it? It's not brilliant conditions for now, but no headlights required particularly. It's probably better for these guys who are actually driving than it is for us right now. Fastest lap of the race for Paul Crab. That's why nobody's been getting close to him. He's busy going very quickly indeed. Not that much quicker, though, than LeMay and Bird in front, because the gap's still 1.5 seconds out to Jamie Bird, and maybe that says something about what race 2 is going to be like here. Might be quite difficult to make some ground once they're sort of settled in to a bit of a run in that 25-minute race, because the pace of the top 6 or 7 especially, very, very similar across the board.
Further back of the field there, you got DeGraff. It's on the back there of Scotty Krostick, and they're going for it too. For no interesting livery at the moment, as you can see on Scotty's car. He's always been one, hasn't he, to bring the entertainment, let's say, on that one. Wow, I mean, you could just look everywhere on that one. It's absolutely fantastic. He wants his MTV, he's got his Coca-Cola, he's got pretty much everything, as well as he's got the Volcro Racing entry behind him there of DeGraff. Well, further back, I've got to switch over to this one. Luke Maxwell.
Maxwell
made an error.
Wow. He is not having a good race, particularly. Luke Maxwell was running in the podium places for much of the first part of the race. Now he's down to 7th all of a sudden. Or the driver currently tied 4th in the championship. Luke Maxwell. That is a few seconds lost on his part. And we'll see in a few moments' time how it happened. But he'll be disappointed, I think, with this race so far and how it's gone. Because, he, as I say, was running in the podium places. Now it looks like he's going to finish 7th and not much higher.
Yeah, I don't see anything for actually race control saying he's going off track. There it is. So that, we're going to go back and find Luke Maxwell. Yep, of course, sorry. Go back on that one because of the fact that here he is. Yeah, believe it or not, didn't come up with race control messages, so he didn't go off track. He just had a little bit of a spin on track.
Yeah, I can believe that, to be honest, because after all, it was only a a very long slide, if you like. It didn't go to a very slow speed, or indeed didn't go off the circuit, so we get away with that one. But he does lose places, which is the important thing for him. Crab versus Busen for third place now, with just over 2 minutes to go. This is going to be the penultimate lap, just starting right now, by the way. Quite close, but it will be the penultimate lap with 2.5 minutes to go. So 11 laps here in the opening race of the day. It always flies by quickly in this series. The opening race of the Trophi.Ai Radical SR8 Championship for round 4, actively race 7 of our championship season. That is a bit wide from Crab. Busen is going to have a bit of a chance in towards turn 4, if not to make an overtake this time, then to at least set one up for the hairpin down at turn 5. Now, where's the run here? Has Busen got the run? Doesn't quite look like he's quite close enough at the moment to me.
He's got to give it everything, Kenny. I mean, you've got a nice hairpin overtaking opportunity coming up right here. He's going to send a dummy there at the moment. I think Paul Crabbe says, okay, you're going to have to fight the hard way around. I'm going to stick to the racing line. Get on that lab pedal. See how much the rear end just starts to slide. Both the drivers doing it. And if you were Mike at the moment, you want to be following your own racing line. Just ignore the fact that there's a car there. Otherwise, you're going to end up doing an Oscar job there and try to follow Lando off the road in Melbourne. Was that too soon?
No sudden rain shower predicted here, by the way.
Don't blame it on the rain, blame it on the drivers. You got to keep it on the track.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's another point. Just over a minute to go, and so it will be last lap. The white flag should be waving this time round. Even if it's not, the checker flag will be waving next time round. I'll look for the starter stand. I don't know where. Oh no, he's not bothering waving the white flag, but it is the last lap. So. Well, make sense of it. 3 tenths of a second gained by Bird last time round, but he's not quite close enough. Maxwell setting the fastest lap of the race as well. That's probably coming all a little bit too late for him as well.
Day late, dollar short on Luke, but at the moment he'll be in the reverse grid starting in P3. We'll flip that top 10 around, so Paul LeMay will have to be starting in that P10 position that currently is occupied by Axelsen, I believe, the Scandinavian driver. So pretty much all sort themselves out. And there's only opportunity there for De Graaf to do anything about Scotty, but he's tried for a good chunk of change of this race and hasn't really had too much of a chance at that one. So Paul LeMay, but we will point the camera to the man that from the Two Brothers Racing team that is leading, has been leading this race since lap 1 and looking to wrap up heat 1.
Paul LeMay has been pretty dominant so far in this race. He has just around 10 points, 9 points away from the championship lead, as his best point score at the moment is just 52 points. Well, he might even be able to improve on that here today and improve his championship position with it as well. Out of the final corner for Paul LeMay, who wins here at Okayama after 15 minutes. Race 1 of round 4 goes to him, just ahead of Jamie Bird in the end. Further behind, David Rolleston in 8th place. Looks like he's going to take the AM victory. Was under a bit of pressure at one stage after he made a small error, but he's going to bring home that victory and, more importantly, a top 10 result as well, along with Ludwig Axelsen. Those two are the 2 AM drivers who will benefit from a reverse grid for race 2, and that is going to be super important for them.
Absolutely fantastic, as the drivers are all just going to park it up there, jump out of those cars, they'll tow them back, or actually do a burnout perhaps here a little bit at the moment from our race winner, Paul LeMay. Yeah, you got to get it back to the garage there, guys. Slap some new tyres on it, put some gasoline in it, and get ready, of course, for our heat main feature race, actually.
Absolutely. Yeah, our second race of the day should be a fun one this afternoon, as we wait for everybody to cross the line so we can show you the results to race 1 of the day, just 15 minutes in length. To mention that the top 10 reverse grid race coming up very shortly. It's Paul LeMay who's taking this opening race of the day. As session transfers to warm up. Jamie Bird, just finishing 6 tenths behind, was chasing him down for much of the day but couldn't quite get there. Paul Crabbe held off Mike Busen and even Bremer quite well to finish on the podium as well. It's disappeared from our screen.
That it has. There we
Don't
go.
know what's happened there. We'll carry on with the rest of it. Mikey Pollard, 6th place ahead of Luke Maxwell. Then David Royston, who wins in the AMS. He had Josh Rood as a bit of a buffer, actually, to Ludwig Axelsen as well, who finished in 2nd place in the AMS. That rounds out the top 10. And then those that don't benefit from the reverse grid, starting with Scott Kostrich, who just about held back Menno de Graaf towards the end there. Stefan Mellis, who very much finished on his own, had a Peter Zoldos, who held off Gert-Jan Polman. Then Michael LeMay, the final driver on the lead lap. Damien G and Declan Marsden both dropped a lap over the course of the race. Well, the warm-up session is ongoing. More discussion about the opening race, and race number 2 coming up in a few moments' time after this from Trophi.Ai.
For the upcoming right-hander, brake 30 meters later and ease off the pressure.
And welcome back to Okayama. A big thanks, of course, to Trophi.Ai for the title sponsorship of the Radical SR8 Championship this season. It's a championship, by the way, that runs all the way to the start of May when we have our final round of the season. We've got an endurance round coming up next week, by the way. The Monza Historic round is going to be absolutely fantastic to bring us to the halfway point of our 18 race and 10 round season. Monza Historic, by the way, taking on the banking and all sorts. Going to be madness next week. Make sure you tune in for that. Qualifying will be 10 minutes, which will be live for about 10 to 9 again in the UK time. And then an hour-long race to go along with after that. I don't know if you've commentated on many races around the Monza Historic layout. I know I've done one or two. And it's absolutely fantastic entertainment, I've got to say. So I'm very much looking forward to next week and our opening endurance round.
I've never done Monza Historic at all. Is that the banking elevation historic one?
Yep.
Wow, they have that in iRacing. I didn't even know that. That would be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's not very much used, actually. But yeah, it's absolutely fantastic, and I'm sure we're going to have a lot of fun in the race next week. I'm sure we're going to have a lot of fun in this second race here tonight as well. 25 minutes of a second race still to come here from Okayama. I thought the racing was pretty good from race 1, to be honest, but obviously the general problems with having very evenly matched drivers next to each other because of qualifying was apparent, and that always is going to be because of the way that racing is generally. But race 2 should be a good one. And we'll see if any of those AMs who have got themselves starting inside the top 3 can do anything from there, since they'll be having a big chance to possibly even win a race this season. We'll see if it happens for them, but above all, it's going to be great racing between everybody in that reverse top 10.
Here we go. Take us for a hot lap there and a warm-up session with Paul Crabb.
Oh, hello. Is he going to make it?
Ooh.
Oh, yeah, he is. Didn't know if he was going to spin out immediately there. Looks like he's just on a warm-up lap at the moment. Paul Crabb. Oh dear. He's to avoid someone who's completely stopped on straight, and he looks like he's going to go back to pit lane as well. It looks that, not many people are using this warm-up session as a real practice session. Is Jamie Bird wiggling around on the straight as well. Everybody's just preparing themselves for race number 2 rather than warming themselves up particularly, because after all, they've just done a pretty intense 15-minute race after an intense 10 minutes in qualifying. There isn't much to get warmed up now.
No, absolutely. Maybe just that quick, basically formation lap, essentially, that we're not going to have because it's standing still with the reverse grid, which will be very, very interesting, I'd have to say, for sure, my friend, in these conditions currently at the moment. That let's see whether or not it's really changed from our previous race. If I can just have a look at the weather, there it is.
Looks almost the same, doesn't it?
It does.
26 degrees on the circuit, and 1 degree less in air temperature, but other than that, nothing really changed at all from the first race to the second. And indeed, the grid isn't going to have changed very much either. We'll go through the top 10 and let the rest scroll through as Ludwig Axelsson is going to start from pole position in his debut race, by the way. What an introduction for him. Josh Reed alongside with David Royston, the AM winner from race 1 in third place. Luke Maxwell will be alongside him. Mikey Pollard and Ewan Bramer will share row 3. And Mike Bousson and Paul Crabb. It's Jamie Bird and Paul LeMay who are first and second in the opening race, who start from 9th and 10th. We'll let the rest scroll through on your screen because outside of the top 10, it is the same as what we saw in race number 1 after the results. The drivers look like they're almost all ready to go here for the 25-minute race. Still no pit stop required, but a lot more overtaking required from those who want to contend for the race win here this afternoon. It's round 4 of the Trophi.Ai Radical SR8 Championship, and it's race number 2 with Luke Maxwell. Rocket ship start from the second row, coming up the inside immediately here in towards turn 1. What a great chance for him to take a victory now as he takes the lead at turn 1. Axelsson fights back though through into turn 2. Maxwell goes round the outside and he will take the lead after a fantastic start off the line in towards turn 1. He was able to take the lead ahead of Axelsson. Now in towards 4. It's still side by side with Bousson down the inside of Royston into the hairpin turn. Here they all get through nice and cleanly, all 18 of them. Oh no! Spoke way too soon! Oh, I spoke too soon. Even Bramer's in the wall, and all sorts of them are in the wall down the back. Mikey Pollard's one of them. Ostrich is at least held up. Zoldos, Pullman, Marsden held up at least. Bramer, has blown his engine. Spoke far too soon out of the hairpin turn. All sorts kicked off there.
That's half the field almost, isn't it, down a pit road? So that would be caution or a red flag at this one, but it's race on.
Absolutely is. This is Luke Maxwell leading the way after that chaotic start. Axelsson just in second place with Reed next. Then it is Bousson. Then Royston, who's getting a lot of pressure now from Paul LeMay, the opening race winner. There's the final turn. Out onto the front straight, and there's defence here from Axelsson. Josh Reed gets alongside in towards turn number 1, and he should get the place as well. It's a long way round there. Axelsson wants to keep as many cars between himself and the others as a bit of a buffer. In case you're wondering why he would be fighting so hard, not only is it overall points, which means that any position really matters here, but also it is a bit of a safety buffer that he's enjoying at the moment. Here comes Bousson though, trying to get rid of that. Down the inside at turn 4. This is where it all went wrong through lap 1. And it looks like Axelsson has not quite got the exit, but he will get the slipstream, and he did. He'll edge ahead again of Bousson. Then in towards turn number 4. Bousson chased to the inside. He does get to the inside though. Oh, he's got his nose chopped off towards the corner. So Axelsson does go through, or at least stays ahead. Bousson next. Then it's Royston. Then LeMay, Crabb and Bird. All very close behind indeed. After just about 2.5 minutes of this opening race. The hairpins now beckon. Turn 8 at Redmond. Hobbs, which is turn 9. And LeMay had a bit of a challenge there from Crabb. Did Crabb get to his inside? Very nearly. Not quite this time round, but very nearly. Through the final corner comes Maxwell. Now onto the front straight again. He leads by over a second. It looks like very much his race to lose right now. As in the background, Crabb and Bird go side by side again. Bird on a very narrow line there as he was squeezed in towards turn 1. He's not going to get round the outside there. And he has to tuck back into line again. Same for LeMay actually. He's got a bit of catching up to do. He's under a bit of pressure earlier on. And he's got some catching up to do again now to those front guys. Bit of defence there. Bit of defence from Crabb again. Really trying his best to keep Jamie Bird behind him right now, but not being so successful. They've actually disappeared behind the timing screen while they were battling away on the front straight there. You can just about see them in the background now. And there goes Crabb again, holding on to the place again, in towards the hairpin at the bottom end of the straight. Marsden, meanwhile, way further down in the field. They were both delayed from the crash earlier. Marsden has got past Damien G. It's a pretty good moment there for Declan Marsden in that case, and to have made his way through. Maxwell, though, has over a second's worth of a lead here in this race. Josh Reed giving chase in second place. with Axelsen next, leading the AMs, which is a great place for him to be after the opening 3 laps of this race. Indeed as well, because it's his first round of the season. He'll be onto the board for the first time with a point score here today, as we now follow David Rolleston in the second place in the AM class. There they go through the S's now, and on board with Paul LeMay in towards the hairpin. Not quite getting the run that he maybe required out of this corner to have a go at Rolleston, and he absolutely needs to do that to get near some more of his pro rivals here. Down in towards the hairpin. Nothing doing from these guys. It's 5 minutes gone now. Everything just calming down a little bit more compared to the opening of this race, which is absolute carnage what we saw out of turn 4.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll go back and have a look at the replay very soon. At the moment, when this battle sorts itself out, if it sorts itself out in the remaining time that we have on this race, was 5 minutes down, so 20 or so to go. Of course, fastest lap was set by Paul LeMay on that last lap, so he's got to navigate his way through this traffic, the man that won Heat 1. But first of all, it depends whether or not Josh Reed, Scott can hold off our Scandinavian driver.
It's looking good so far, Axelsen. Continues in third place for the moment as Luke Maxwell continues to extend his lead out front, and by more than half a second that time round he extended it by. Through turn 2. Each driver almost tighter to the corner than the last. There, further in the background, Rolleston overtaken by LeMay through the S's. That must have been an error from Rolleston somewhere, because you don't see side by side here very often. He's down the inside again though at turn 4, and you just wonder whether for him this is the smartest battle to be having right now. Well, his main rival is up in third place, especially considering Crab and Burner queuing up right behind him to take his place if indeed he loses out here. And LeMay does get that position. Will Crab follow? Not quite. Rolleston down to 6th, and he's now further away from his AM rival. There's contact. Oh, and Crab briefly loses his front end. He's going to get it back again, and he's going to get away with it. He will have slight damage. He'll have a bit more now. Bird muscles his way past into 7th.
He's got a little bit of shaken up there at the moment, isn't it, FL Crab? So as he has to back off from that one, yeah, magically front wing just reappeared on that one, so that pit crew don't even need to go down there and get it all ready to change. But wow, definitely building up there. So Paul LeMay getting eventually up into a couple more places, and Paul Crab's fallen down further as well. He's, I think that's box. Yeah.
So he did get that back visually, but he has got damage on that front end after that contact, so he has to come into pit lane. Another fastest lap of the race from Luke Maxwell. Unfortunately, not the only driver to have come down pit lane so far. And Polman is out the race, and Mikey Pollard also out the race. Even Bramer's back again, so is Kostrich after coming into pit lane earlier on, by the way. He's after a huge crash at or out of turn 4, which is where we are right now. Bussen trying to pass Axelsen. Surely Bussen's going to have it this time round. It did just look like Axelsen was on borrowed time towards turn 4 there, and now Bussen's going to get that third place. He's made a mistake, Axelsen. This is why he needs to get involved in that battle, because it's not for his class lead, and he was always running that risk. If he was playing with those pros, he was playing with that risk, and Axelsen loses 4 places in that one mistake.
I was going to say he's playing with his food, wasn't he? As you said, you're told not to play with your food, don't play with the pro drivers. Josh Reed's off.
From second down at turn 8, Josh Reed spins around and returns to the place where he finished the opening race of the day. Let's see what happened. It looked like a solo spin.
Yep, gone too heavy into the corner, hasn't he?
Corner.
Yeah.
Just lost the rear end. That is a real shame for Josh Reed.
Here comes LeMay. Fastest lap just set by Maxwell. I think he knows that one. He's got a message on the radio saying, you've got to get a move on, because LeMay is on a move. And our race 1 winner, Heat 1 winner, I think Luke Maxwell knows that he needs to, as much of a gap as he possibly can. And you're talking the gap that he has at the moment currently to LeMay is give or take 5 or so seconds. So he's got to get a move on.
Here we go into the hairpin. May is really striving for the most points gained today, and I think he is going to get them as well if he it's a double podium. He won the opening race. Anyone's going to do well to close the margin to Luke Maxwell now, but if he gets another podium at the expense of Mike Booston and gets to second place, then to be a fantastic point score for Paul LeMay, especially while one of his main championship rivals, John McCutcheon, are away. Here is the second of the hairpins. LeMay trying to find his way past with just under 10 minutes gone in this opening race. There's 15 minutes to go now in race 2.
I can't read what that is on his rear spoiler there. Well, I can't pronounce it. Let us know. But Maxwell just says another fastest lap. Go ahead, sorry.
Hoisingveld, it's a brand that makes... yeah, well, traditionally pedals, but I think they make more than that now.
Oh,
but,
right.
There's
every day.
Sim racing brand. I'm not sure if he's sponsored by them or whether he's using their pedals or whether he's just got in there for fun. But there you go. LeMay tries to get close again in towards turn 4, but he's never going to do it with an exit like that. Watch the way that Booston there grabbed the late apex rather than the early one, and he gets himself a nice run on the way down in towards the hairpin here. Paul LeMay nowhere near close enough that time round in this battle now that's been going on for a few laps. Now Rolliston is trying to hold off Jamie Bird, and is he going to fall into the same trap that Axelsen did? In contact very nearly between the two of them. Down the inside for Rolliston's going to give Bird the inside for the next corner, maybe. He couldn't quite get that switchback done, and Jamie Bird remains in 5th place.
I'm just scared to see a car these days without a halo. As wow, there he goes. David goes running off the track there at the moment. He was a little bit camouflaged trying to get out into the kitty litter there to say, hey, you can't see me anymore, but unfortunately they can, and that brings Axelsen up as well too. But yeah, let's go back to that one. It's 2025. You've got to have a halo. I mean, there is a little bit of a roll bar on the back there, but still scary.
It's like the old days. These open cockpit cars, you don't see. In any case, in the advent of the halo, you don't see open cockpit prototypes very often anymore at all. Last raced in real life, for example, the top level sports car racing, LMP2 last had an open top car at 2016, which is nearly 10 years ago now. Wow. Deep breath.
At least we don't have to worry about the virtual world. See the steering into the corner as well too from David Rawlingson up at the moment. He's having to just kind of chunk a little bit away at the steering wheel. It's not just to smooth in and smooth out. You've got to fight with the car on those bumps.
Oh, Axelsen was having a look there, and Rolliston could see it in his mirrors. Just had a look, and he couldn't make the overtake that time. Axelsen very nearly grabbed the grass there, may have done, but he just had the opposite lock to correct it through the second of those two left-handers. These two are only 2 seconds ahead, by the way, of Menno Dragafa and Stefan Mellis, so if they fight too hard, they could be in an even bigger fight for the AM lead, and they are fighting quite hard. Rolliston again on the inside, Axelsen again not able to get through.
It's a solid drive for both of those. See there, you get a look at they're only chunk and change down the road really from our about 8 seconds away from our race leaders that are in the pro class, so they're solidly doing a great job. You can see the top from 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th for all the leaders in this race currently in the AM class, getting a good hurl of points there. And then you've got Reed, unfortunately, Josh Reed, that we saw had that little bit of a mistake before and costed him some time there, but still inside that top 10. And further back here, you've got Declan Marson there on to the back there of Michael LeMay as well too, who we were aware that didn't have the best of the first heat races.
No. And was delayed by the opening lap crash as well, by the way, which has put a number of these drivers out the race. Pullman, Pollard, Postrich seems to be in the pit lane and out the race again as well. It was an absolutely huge opening lap crash. We saw the back end of it earlier on as they were rising over the hill. Just as I was saying, they've got through cleanly. They all went everywhere in the end.
Yes, just wanting to see if there's an overtake going to happen around here at the moment. Come right, Paul, come on, cue it up, my friend. You read the script. The script says, okay, Paul LeMay gets the overtake done on lap 11, and then we can show the opening stint crash that took out about 4 or 5 cars.
It's going to take more work than that. Oh, meanwhile, Axelsen. Oh, that's because Jamie Bird's coming. Is he coming into the pit lane? What is Jamie Bird doing?
No, he's crashed.
What is going on in the background there?
He's crashed.
Oh.
Anyway, there's another
just
overtake
spun to the
going
inside.
on. Bit of action, yeah.
Yeah, so Axelsen must have been involved in this because Rolleston was promoted a place, but Axelsen has dropped down all of a sudden, and it's now a fight for second in the AM class.
Quickly see what happened there. I know we've got a few replays to come up here, but this is Bird. You kind of saw that in your pictures at the back. Now, he's lost it, out of the out of the final corner there, and didn't. Whoa! Just completely snapped on something there, mate, on the ground. Didn't see that.
And then Axelsen immediately after that. So Axelsen wasn't involved with Bird. He had a separate problem to that as he was getting past through the final corner. So I don't know. I suppose it must have been a solo problem for him. So yeah, he's still sixth in the. Or he is now sixth, I should say, in the race, a long way behind David Ralston, who I'd imagine is feeling a bit more comfortable.
There he is there, Axelsen. But didn't see anything. He just went really slow.
Would have been before that.
Yeah, bad exit perhaps to maybe to avoid that incident. Anyway.
Or a slow down from the previous corners or something.
Yes, that's right. A slow down would make perfect sense.
I guess so. But yeah, it's still
anyway, first here it is. So this is where it all went pear-shaped at the start. You want to talk us through that?
So it started in front. That's a huge impact there, by the way. We're going to need to try and unpick this. Oh dear, and flying in there was looks like Damien G maybe. Yeah. So it starts with Bramer, who gets a little bit loose, then a bit of side-to-side contact. He hits the wall and sort of springs back into the field, if you like. He's hit very hard by somebody there. And the yellow car there, and he springs back onto the circuit again there twice. Very, very almost trampoline barriers. So Pollard is the one. He was clipped by Bramer. It was then absolutely smacked by somebody. Marsden's in there spinning around, but he gets away with it. Michael LeMay comes to almost a dead stop to avoid it all as well. What a big mess that was. This is the biggest hit, by the way, for Kostrich. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Declan was involved in this one as well. It's just absolute carnage. I'm sure we're going to go back and actually review that probably a few times at the end of this race, so stick around because we do want to make sure that we capture the action on the live action. Otherwise, we're going to just end up watching replay after replay after replay because we'll be missing all that live action over and over again. And still, Paul LeMay can't find a way. Park Boosen here at the moment. So Team Redline 1 and 2 for now. We'll see if the Two Brothers Racing entry of Paul LeMay can do anything about it.
Yeah, this could be one of his better chances, actually, Paul LeMay. As they come in towards the hairpin at the back end of the straight. Well, it's not late on the brake enough there, I'm afraid, Paul LeMay. Need to be a little bit braver than that on the brakes if he wants to make his way through, but he has to stay third. And Mike Boosen will continue on with that second place. A good evening to John McCutcheon, who's found some time to watch the broadcast this evening, which is to see. Tell us how the bowls is going. He says it looks like it's dark enough for lights, and that's what we've been saying now for about an hour. But these drivers not turning on the lights for whatever reason, and the conditions apparently not bad enough. I think for these drivers they can see where they're going without problems, to be honest. But they haven't got the lights on at the moment.
Fastest lap set by Luke Maxwell, still wanting to maintain that. He's got his teammate here as a buffer from Paul LeMay. Paul LeMay knows you've got to get on with this right now. That's 6 seconds at least to try to slice a dice away from Luke Maxwell. And you're not going to be slicing dice in 6 seconds away when he is setting purples. 2 for now.
There's some more personal bests back in the pack, by the way. Stefan Mellis among them. Jamie Bird maybe as well. This is a big group now, actually, for fourth place. And all of a sudden, David Ralston's under a lot of pressure from Menno de Graaf. So he had 2 seconds at one stage. Now Rolleston has got a lot of pressure on him. It's 4 AMs, the top 4 AMs, and then Reed and Bird on the back end of this. This is one of the most lively groups in the field. So's this one. Don't know where to look at the moment because of the battles that are going on for second and for fourth place.
Around the outside, he was always going to go, but there it is. So there's Mellis, Josh Reed, Jamie Bird, just on the background. Giving us a spicy and dicey entertainment here They're stepping out of the shadows and into the spotlight, if we can get a spotlight on them, which this currently is with the camera, as we are definitely getting down to the business end of things at the moment, about 6 minutes and change, which is only a couple of laps.
Yeah, not long left at all. Might be 4 laps left in this race, somewhere around there. So they now make their way out the final corner. Axelsen looks like he's closest actually to De Graaf right now in towards turn number 1, and he might even have a go if he's feeling brave. De Graaf felt the need to go on a slightly defensive line, and surely that is now going to sow the seeds of doubt that Axelsen needs to just take the place. In the background, Mellis was on the defensive there big time from Reed and Bird, who were just queuing basically to try and get past him. Josh Reed needs to go through down at turn 4, otherwise Bird's going to take them both, and he's looking, but he can't do it. Round the outside goes Bird, no. Here comes Reed on the inside. Mellis slipped wide, and so Reed going to get through. Now Jamie Bird's going to try and do the same, and Reed is going to give them both half slipstream, and now Bird's going to get it. Is he going to try and take it 3 wide though? He's going to be on a very narrow line. He breaks early, and that allows Mellis to break late on the outside line, and he gets them both back again. Inside for the next 2 corners means that he might stay 7th here, Stefan Mellis. Inside line again. The next part, he'll have the inside for the hairpin coming up as well, but it's finally a good run from Reed, who gets round the inside. Now here comes Bird. Oh, that's close. Very close. And he's gone for a spin, Stefan Mellis. Mellis goes for a spin. A valiant effort at defending, but in the end, Reed and Bird both go through.
That's what you say, good races aren't always necessarily about the overtakes, it's also about the defensive work, but he couldn't quite get it done. You can see Jamie Bird absolutely on the tailpipe of the Scott. We got another Scott out in the chat, of course, as John watching this one. I'm probably trying to cheer for his fellow Scotsman of Josh Reed, who's under massive pressure from Jamie Bird right now.
He's going to have to turn that attacking horse that he was going with earlier on to a bit of a defensive one now. As the side-by-side for the second again between Bousson and LeMay. Those two have... and this is a bit earlier in the straight, so finally LeMay has got to the inside a bit earlier, which is good news for LeMay, bad news for Bousson, who wants to hold on to that second place, and he just has a bit of a slide there, Bousson, into the turn. And Paul LeMay moves up to second place. What a day he's having.
Yeah, and further back this battle, that's absolutely fantastic. It took to pull LeMay. I think that's that race win's probably done and dusted at the moment, so I'll have to settle for that P2. Just not enough time to catch Luke Maxwell unless Luke Maxwell makes a mistake. Paul LeMay did set the fastest lap on that last lap, but it's not going to be enough. You need to be taking about a second a lap, and that's not going to happen at this point, so I'd be happy with that P2. These two are just going for it too. For Nail up the road as well. Rollingston and De Graaf. Excitement all around.
To grab for an accident, Rollingston's going to get away as the penultimate lap now begins. Yeah, it's going to be very close, but it should be the penultimate lap of this race. We'll see in a couple of minutes' time. This is De Graaf in towards turn 1, and because he's defending this second place from Axelsen, it looks like Rollingston's going to take the win in the AMS. Who's going to take 4th place? It's Mellis versus LeMay. Stefan Mellis didn't need to get involved in this, but the spin he had in the last lap means that Michael LeMay is trying to confront him on this one. There's contact, was there? It was very close if there wasn't. Mellis goes wide. Here comes Marston on the left-hand side, trying to take them both through the S's. You don't want to be going 3 wide through there particularly. Marston's on the outside of Mellis now, and Michael LeMay goes from looking for one place to gain to back another place. He goes backwards. That's even Bramer, by the way, behind them. He's a lap down, and so they won't be worrying about him in the white. He'll just be watching, to be honest. He won't be getting involved in the racing himself. Here comes Marston on the outside of Mellis for that 9th place, and Stefan Mellis is able to hang on from that.
Absolutely crazy, absolutely crazy. These two are going for it too for now. Looks like Alex Axelsen has got De Graaf currently at the moment, so in that little shenanigans kerfuffling that was going on between those two drivers. And Paul LeMay is still in that P2 from Bousson. We're going to have a lot of replays to go over, so please stick with us in post-race so we can kind of recollaborate the big accident at the start. So a few of these fantastic overtakes that we've been seeing here, a couple of little off-track excursions and so forth. But Luke Maxwell, he's probably going to be the one that's wanting to tune into this one at the end and say what happened, because once he got up the front, mate, he has not looked backwards.
Whatever did happen to everybody else at the start there? You'll certainly be wondering that. As in the background, LeMay has to defend from Booston again, by the way. Saw them weaving around all over the place. Not sure whether that was just precautionary from Paul LeMay. It may well have been, but Booston gains a bit in the braking zone there. Is there going to be a late twist here in the fight for second place? Personally, don't really think so.
You think a full set up the inside? I mean, there's a possibility of taking a podium away from both the drivers, or would you be happy to settle for some points? We are only fairly early into this championship hunt, so you don't want that to come back and bite you later on in the championship season when you just lost out by a couple of points that you would have practically been guaranteed by getting yourself a podium at this point.
Well, the seconds now tick by. Maxwell's very close to the line, and the checkered flag is indeed waving. A couple of seconds early, in fact, for Luke Maxwell at the end of lap 18. It's victory in the Trophi.Ai Radical SR8 Championship on a big day for Luke Maxwell. It's also maximum points gained for Paul LeMay, or at least most of everybody here today. As in the background, David Ralston weaves over the line. He is the AM winner from this race. It's a double AM win from him here in race 1 and race 2.
Yeah, gets the job done. Little LeMay as well too. Couldn't quite get Marson towards the end of Michael LeMay. So you got that two brothers a racing team. We'll get that race with one victory, of course, with Paul LeMay. But Paul LeMay will end up fighting his way back up. 8 positions gained as well too, and he had to fight hard to get that P2. And Mike Booston, that he had that P2 for the team Redline, eventually will have to conceded that one to the P3. But a podium's a podium, my friend. The champagnes always taste sweet when you're stepping on those top steps.
It certainly does. And we'll be chatting to Luke Maxwell in a few moments' time as well, which we'll look forward to. As Peter Solos is the final driver to cross the line. In fact, he didn't start the last lap very far in front of Luke Maxwell, actually. So we'll wait almost an entire lap for him to finish his race in 14th place, which is and finishing the race is a lot more than a lot of drivers can say at the end of that one, unfortunately. As Luke Maxwell cruises into the pit lane, we'll be able to chat to him once he stops the car and gets into the waiting room himself. Let's have a look at the race results then for race number 2 of round 4 in the Trophi.Ai Radical SR8 Championship here tonight. It's Luke Maxwell who takes the dominant victory in the end, and Paul LeMay who holds off Mike Booston, and David Ralston who wins in the AM class ahead of Ludwig Axelsen and Menno de Graaf. Jamie Bird and Josh Reed were in there as well. They're fighting between themselves though at the end, with Stefan Mellis next ahead of Declan Marsden. Michael LeMay was just outside that top 10 with Jamie G next. Paul Crabb just inside of a minute off the win, and Peter Zolos rounding out those on the lead lap. Even Bramer did cross the line, though he was a lap down. Scott Kostritz didn't, neither did Mikey Pollard or Gert-Jan Palman, or did anybody else further down in the field. Now then, let's have a chat, shall we, to Luke Maxwell, the race winner here from
you had the pace there, Paul, I think.
Oh, sorry, Luke. I've just been interrupting your conversation. But we'll have a chat with you quickly. Congratulations on the second win, or second race win, I should say. It looked pretty comfortable, to be honest. You ran away pretty early on and controlled it from there. But the start was absolutely electric. You launch off the line. Just tell us how you were able to get such a great launch.
You know, I was practicing earlier and my launches were awful. I was thinking, oh no, please don't do that. And I just nailed it. Got the sort of dual clutch set up with the, easing it on the first clutch, and then I could pretty much drop the second clutch. So yeah, it worked there. That was a great start. I thought, right, just look after the tyres now, and don't try and push too hard. But I still nearly binned it. Hate that track.
You got all the bad ones out of the way before the race, by the sound of it.
Yes.
From that practice. I mean, as a general rule as well, just quickly, how difficult is it to start these SR8s compared to the SR10s?
It's not too bad. I think if you do like the tyres, that's it. You're done. So you've got to be a bit careful. So you either ease the clutch in too slowly and you don't get the kind of the push off the line, or you do it too quickly. But I don't know. I seem to be starting well in this car. Most races, the starts are pretty good. So long may it continue, really.
And you mentioned there you don't particularly like the circuit. How is it to be leading a race by a few seconds at a circuit you don't really like?
Much more comfortable than being 5 seconds behind and in a pack. It was. I thought, well, I've got reasonable pace here. If I can stop myself from binning it, which is not an easy task, given me history and some of the racing at this track, because you're always leaning on the tyres. So I was really trying to be quite careful, not using first gear too much, and letting the car roll around the corners a bit, and just trying to keep it kind of quick, but not make silly mistakes. I was pushing for lap time at one point, and that's where I nearly went off. So I thought after that, look, I've got 5 seconds, a couple of laps left. Let's just ease it in there.
Did you see
Absolutely,
those
and you
cars?
were able to do that.
Yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
Did you see those cars in your rearview mirrors just flipping up and down there on the backstretch at all there?
No, I missed that, but I will go and watch it back in a minute and see what happens.
It's worth a look. So quite spectacular going on behind you, but thankfully you weren't involved in any of it. Congratulations on the win in race 2, especially here, Luke. Is there anyone you'd like to shout out before we let you go?
I'll give a shout out to Paul LeMay. He's been on cracking form in this car lately, so he's definitely got the pace there. So see if we can give him a challenge at a couple of other races this season. We'll see how we go.
Absolutely. Hopefully we'll see you next week, if not later on. Congratulations tonight, Luke, and we'll see and speak to you shortly.
Yeah, see you then. Cheers, guys.
Thanks very much. Luke Maxwell there, the winner from race 2, followed by the man he was just referencing there, Paul LeMay, who won race 1 and came second in race 2. Congratulations, Paul, on the most points scored of anybody here this evening, as far as my mediocre mathematics goes. How did you find your evening at Okayama, starting with race number 1, which you were able to take the victory in?
Hi, guys. I was under immense pressure from Jamie, but I managed to pull away a bit, get a bit of a gap, and he was just taking a tenth here and there, and he sort of brought it down. And I knew over the last few laps I just had to keep it pinned, and we were pretty evenly matched. So thankfully, I got the start that I needed.
And speaking of starts, race 2 had a pretty amazing start. Well, in one way anyway. You were just able to avoid it with Ewan Bremus sort of spinning away to your left as you started, and then in the mirrors you may have seen the calamities of everybody else being caught up in it. Did you realise or appreciate at the time how close you were to being involved in a real smash up there?
No, not really. I'm on a single monitor, so I have to sort of to look at my mirrors or look left and right. I have to press a button. I knew there was people around me, like there always is in this place on the first lap, but I didn't know how close it was. I guess I was pretty lucky there. Then.
It was relatively close, I would say, but you drove well afterwards, certainly. And one final thing, tell us about your pass on Mike Booston in that pretty much race-long battle, really.
Yeah, I was just trying to keep the pressure on Mike, really, but that old Massey Ferguson of these is a bit wide, So, I just tried to keep the pressure on. I knew I couldn't get past. I knew I had to rely on Mike making a bit of a mistake, and thankfully he did make a little bit of a mistake into the corner before the back straight. I managed to squeeze up the inside on the tight line and thankfully outdrag him a little bit into the hairpin at the end of the straight. So, he made it really tough. It was great fun, but I was, I was really relying on Mike to make the error, and he did in the end.
Well, congratulations on second place in race 2 and the win in race 1, of course. Is there anyone you'd like to shout out before we let you go?
To Mike, really, because, he really did make it tough for me. And, we just had a chat, and he's really getting into the car, and we're all really happy with the car in the league, and everybody's driving really well, so it's good fun.
Absolutely. We look forward to seeing you again next week, Paul, at Monza. But for now, thanks for chatting to us, and congratulations on a successful evening.
Thank you very much. See you soon, guys. Bye.
Cheers. Paul LeMay, then first in race 1, second in race 2. And as you mentioned there, battling away with Mike Booston at the end. We can chat to Mike now too. Congratulations, Mike, on a podium, especially in the second race. Tell us a little bit about the battle with Paul LeMay there. We just heard his side of the story, that he kind of waited, or wanted anyway, to wait for you to make an error. What was your side of the story like?
I'd never believe anything Paul says. He's just a born liar. Just to get out of the way to start with. It was a great battle. Paul ultimately was faster around that track than me. So once he had honed in on me, it was a case of looking backwards rather than forwards, which obviously I made one mistake, and that one mistake obviously punished me. So fair play to him on that. And the early battle, not being able to get through the traffic, because I obviously not raced that much with those two guys. So it was a very cautious put my nose in there. But obviously by that time Luke had scampered up the road, and it was going to be hard with Paul hunting me down to be able to focus on just going forward. So, but yeah, good couple of races. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to look ahead actually a little bit to next week as well. If you've got any experience or anything at the Monza Historic layout, which I believe takes in the old oval as well as the normal racetrack for our first endurance round of the season. Have you ever driven that circuit or raced on it before?
We have done it and used it for a lot of week 13s, a few week 13s. So I am familiar with the absolute chaos that it will bring. It's the same as going with Monza with no chicanes. It's absolutely going to be chaos, but it will be fun at least.
Yes. Well, we're looking forward to it anyway. Well, is there anyone you'd like to shout out, Mike, before we let you go?
Well, clearly I'll give a shout out to your boss who couldn't be asked to do the broadcast tonight. Where is he tonight?
I think he's on another broadcast.
I think he's on another broadcast.
Yeah, well,
maybe.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Another broadcast? A better one than this?
So. As if there is one.
Exactly. What can he be doing? Something with ovals or something? Just driving around in circles?
Well, that's what you'll be doing next week. So.
Well, yeah, yes. Fair point. All right. I'll do the funny bits, all right?
just looking at the replay of the overtake
I wish
towards
James
the end.
Was back now.
Mate, there it is there. So you could have turned in on him, I think, as he snuck it up on the inside there. But you kind of I think that's probably wise because, you got a chunk of points right now. If you would have turned into them, both of you could have been around and not talking to us right now. Yeah,
these cars are a little less obviously robust than the SR10 and don't like rubbing as much. So I think it would have just sent one of us, if not both of us, around. So I was aware that I could have made it tighter, but ultimately still had the inside line for the next. So I thought myself, I'll let him have it. He deserves the points more,
Let him have it this time. Thanks, Mike, for coming to chat to us as always, and we will see you next week.
Yeah, till next time.
Cheers. Thanks very much, Mike Pearson. Third place here in race 2 tonight. We've been chatting. Menno de Graaf has got himself into the waiting room as well. Third place in race 2 for him in the AM class as well. Welcome in, Menno. Good to have you with us here after the racing tonight. How did you find it overall? Starting actually with the battle in race 2 you were in quite a group there for the win in the AM class.
Yeah, good evening, guys. It was a very difficult race. I struggled a lot on the Okayama, especially in the low-speed turns. It was a bit of a breakfast, I think. I got P6 overall. I tried to manage Stefan behind me. He's a very consistent driver, so also very safe. So I was feeling quite relaxed. And then David got had an incident or a small mistake, and then everything got back together. And then from there on, I was like hold position, hold position, hold position. And then I think it was Ludwig. He's not having a title if he's pro or amp, so I was a bit confused about that. And then in the end, I was like, I let him go third. I'm happy with third. I'm going for it. And just finish the race.
And by the way, just to go back to the start of race number 2, what did you see of the opening lap incident, and how did you get yourself through it from your point of view?
I saw someone going off to the right and to the left, and then I managed to avoid everything.
Just having a look on board here of what you saw. Just a quick bit of reaction to and getting yourself to the right, and a good job from yourself to avoid everything that went on, because it was a very big crash indeed, as we've seen tonight. Is there anyone you'd like to shout out, Menno, before we let you go?
Stefan, because had a really fun race behind him, and also excuses to him because I touched him in the sprint race. I did a little mistake through the section in the infield, and then he touched me, and he touched someone behind him, so he got off. Sorry for that. And I had a cracking race also in the sprint with. Let me look. with Scott. He's defending really well. It was really a fun battle. Unfortunately, I lost that battle, but it was really fun, and that's what I'm here for.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on a podium in the second race here tonight, Benno, and thanks for coming to chat to us after the race as well.
Thank you, guys. Good evening.
Thanks so much, Benno de Graaf, in the podium places here this afternoon in the AM class. The Trophi.Ai Radical SR8 Championship. Good couple of races here at Okayama, I would say, Biggles. I thoroughly enjoyed it. There are the first race results, by the way. Paul LeMay was able to take the victory ahead of Jamie Bird and Paul Crabb, who were on the podium. LeMay getting that second place in race 2 as well, meaning he takes the most points from the day in what's been a very entertaining evening as well.
David gets the for the AM class as well too. David Rollington in that gets the win for the feature for the heat race, of course, and he also gets the back-to-back feature, as you can see there, with a fourth place result there. Fantastic battles all around. A bit of carnage, of course, excitement. You know, but it's always a very exciting race though, Ewan, if you don't get a chance to really go back and look at the replays too much because there's that much live action. So big hats off and GGs to the drivers. Of course, for not everybody has the day that they wanted at the end of the day, but you do know that there's more races to come, and you're talking about ovals. And that certainly, my friend, is next on our schedule.
Certainly is. Monza Historic is not one to be missed on the 31st of March. We'll be live just before 9 p.m. UK time for that broadcast here on the JPB YouTube channel. Very much hope to see you then. It is going to be one special evening of racing. I've been Ewan Louis alongside Dean Biggles here tonight from Okayama. A good couple of races sees Paul LeMay take the most points out of Japan. Hopefully, we'll see you again next week in the Trophi.Ai Radical SR Championship. From both of us here at Okayama, it's goodbye for now.